Well, I'm Mike Janick. I'm the facilities manager here at DECAS Cranberry Products, and I basically manage the building and the equipment within it to keep it all running so that we keep producing cranberries of the highest quality for our customers. It's an almost 80-year-old company that was heavily involved in the agricultural side of it up until about 15 years ago, when they started to become involved with receiving cranberries. To that point, they were growing them and they were producing them and distributing to others. But then they started to receive cranberries from other growers. As they did that, they determined that there was an opportunity to take those cranberries they were receiving and make some products out of them. So we started to make juice and concentrate under contract with different companies such as Coca-Cola, and we've continued to do that since then. About 12 years ago, we started to make sweetened dried cranberries, a healthy alternative to snacks for children and adults. They're high in fiber, low in sugar, and retain all the qualities of a cranberry. Which are very good for antioxidants as well as preventing urinary tract infections. DECAS Cranberry Products is a family-owned business and has been for almost 80 years. The personnel here, from the CEO and the chairman of the board right down to the production workers, work as a unit to ensure the success of the company. DECAS has, as I said earlier, been involved with agricultural for many of its 80 years, and matter of fact, that's how it got its start, and moved into manufacturing as an aspect of how can they move forward to be more supportive of their growers, as well as provide a product that they saw a niche for within the market. We developed the sweetened dried cranberry, and while we weren't necessarily the first to do it, there were several companies putting them out at about the same time. We feel, the best. And the quality of our product is what we rely on as far as customers looking for the product on the market. We provide a quality product. We've been an institutional provider of sweetened dried cranberries for many of these years, but we've recently moved into the retail side of it with our Paradise Meadow product, as well as we licensed the characters from the Funny Face powdered juice drink from the 60s and 70s, and we are now selling those in small packages. They're a high fiber, reduced sugar product intended to replace wasted calorie snacks for children and adults, and so far the reception for these products has been extremely favorable. Well, Frank Rounds has been our boiler partner for as long as I've been here, over 7 years. And at one point we were coming to the conclusion that we needed to make a determination whether we needed to add a second boiler or increase the size of our existing one, or whether the existing one could be improved to continue to grow with us as a company. And I met with our service representative, Robert Cifello. He was wonderful in giving me advice and guidance as far as what the options were. And while we did that, we also learned that there was available money from National Grid for these improvements, because they're energy efficiency improvements that allowed us to operate more effectively, reduce our dependence on fossil fuels, and improve our carbon footprint. Bob is an individual that is very pleasant to work with. He will always return my phone calls, return my emails. He's responsive when I've got an issue. Certainly, we've had times when we've had a short notice crisis. We've had our own issues. The water quality at our plant used to be quite poor, and as a result, our boiler suffered from that. And we had times where we had some issues with scaling, led to problems that we needed rounds in. They were able to respond within a matter of hours. They worked through the night to put us back online, got us back up and running within 24 hours. It could have been a truly catastrophic event for us, and while it was moderately damaging, it was nowhere near the issue that it could have been had we not had such a good relationship with Robert and with Rounds. Robert was instrumental in putting this all together. He did the legwork. Certainly I had to provide him with some information on what our loads were and what our expectations for growth would be. But Robert did the hard number crunching to provide the information not only to us at DECAS, but also to the utility National Grid, to allow them to say, yes, this is a beneficial project for this company. It will save them money, it will save us money, and reduce their load on the grid as a whole. So without Robert doing all of that, I didn't have the knowledge or the time, basically, to do that. And Robert would come to me. We'd meet at my convenience, and he would bring in the information. We'd review it. If there were any questions that needed answers, we'd provide them, or he would go out and look that information up for us and just get that whole process moving forward. Robert is available seemingly at all hours. I've called him mostly during the workday, but I've had to call him outside of work hours, and he's been responsive to me. If I didn't get him immediately, he was back to me within 30 to 60 minutes. His workforce, when they come in, they're very good about checking in, making sure that they understand what our needs are, how they can work. We are a food manufacturing facility, and we have requirements for people coming into this facility. They're compliant with our requirements, and they're always very generous with sharing information. We don't have to, when they leave, we don't have to wonder what occurred. They will come to us and let us know what's happened and what the impact was and how we are going to be moving forward. Well, as with any company, we looked at the return on investment of this investment. And we were able to look at this in such a fashion that we recognized that we were looking between the different projects that we installed, a return on investment of between 1.2 and 2 years on a couple of the projects. In addition, the utilities made it almost so attractive that we couldn't say no. The return on investment, as well as the rebates that the utilities provided, just made this a no-brainer for us to move forward with these projects. The history, I believe, will go back to the installation of the boiler. Our single boiler, it's the heartbeat of this plant. Without that, we cannot make our juice, our concentrate, or our sweetened dried cranberries. And when we made that first initial purchase, Frank Rounds, being the local representative, was involved directly at that point, and they've continued to support us since then in a very positive fashion, so the relationship has endured. Well, we did, at the time that we were looking at these improvements, go out and see what other opportunities were out there, what other companies had to offer. As we looked at the overall impact of first our boiler, the Cleaver Brooks boiler, and then the support and the costs of what these improvements would do for us, as well as what they would cost us to implement, we couldn't get around the fact that Frank Rounds was the best value for this work. The stack economizer is doing everything we expected it to do. We see approximately a 30-degree increase in our water as the water is entering the boiler, which obviously saves on the energy usage because we don't have to heat that water any further. And it's been everything that we've expected, and Rounds has supported it completely. They're in annually during our annual shutdown to do a repair or any preventive maintenance that needs to be done. The economizer is part of that, and they've taken care of that wonderfully. We have not had a single issue with it since its installation. The savings that we've seen have been a little bit difficult to quantify for us, only because at the time that we made these improvements, the improvements gave us the ability to operate the boiler a little bit harder and a little bit more efficiently, which we were making some process improvements within our facility that actually led to increases in our utility use for those pieces of equipment. So it actually kind of balanced out. We saved on the boiler as far as the gas usage for that, but then we were utilizing it in the plant as we expanded our production capacity. The production within the facility we were able to increase that by several million pounds per year, which is a significant improvement for us. And had we not had the capacity on the boiler, that the work that Rounds did available to us, we wouldn't have been able to make that increase in production. Another item that Frank Rounds installed for us was a Hawk electronic control system. And that allowed us to more tightly control the blower motor, for one thing. It was on a VFD, but it allowed us to control that electronically. It also gave us control of the gas flow to the boiler. So it was more responsive within our needs. We're a high-pressure operation. Our boiler operates at 125 psi. And when we would start equipment up, sometimes you would see that load drop or that capacity drop, and the Hawk took those variables that we saw and it smoothed them out significantly. We also did a Level Master water level electronic program that ties to the Hawk electronic system. And the Level Master will, when we've got a load coming on in the plant, sometimes it comes up quicker than the boiler might be able to respond had we not had these controls. But now the electronic controls allow us to react more quickly. We don't have to have the boiler operator standing at the boiler, which allows him to multitask within the plant. and we're much more efficient as far as the boiler use when it comes to these two electronic systems that we installed. I would say to somebody considering Frank Rounds that they need to understand the history, the service capability, and the value that they can provide. Frank Rounds is receptive to customer needs. They will work with the customer to make sure that what you get installed is going to benefit you. We talked about a number of different processes, but we only installed the ones that made sense for us. And Frank Rounds was 100% behind us in those decisions and supporting us with that moving forward.